So
I didn't get your question.
I don't know if you heard if you at least heard some of the audio that was being played. As I said, I wish I'd been able to come on camera so that you would see the video also. But we'll work with what we have.
Yes, I heard it.
Okay,
yes,
good. So let's with all that in the backdrop, let's start from here. Have you heard about the new ban on community mining? What's your reaction? First of all, what is community mining?
Well, the idea of community mining came about as a result of concerns that the existing mining regime did not consider the participation of local people. So we felt that, well, for small-scale mining, we had, commercial interest coming in, getting the concession and the mining and then going away. But then the government at the time thought that, well, why don't you create a system where interested community members, particularly the youth, can also participate in legal small-scale mining without risking their lives to do illegal mining. Mm-hmm. So that was the idea behind the community mining concept. So unlike the conventional small-scale mining, for community mining, government acquires the concession, government prepares the concession, government grants them everything that they need, all that the community members, the identifiable community groups needed to do was to just move to the site and then do their mining. So that was all. So it is not markedly different from the conventional small-scale mining, except that in this case, instead of the concessionaire going around and looking for a concession to mine, this time around, government did everything on behalf of the communities, and then they went ahead to mine. But the problem with community mining, if I am to answer the possible second question you'll be asking, the problem with the community mining concept were basically three. Number one, the whole concept was politicized. I mean, heavily politicized, because it came out of the outcry of the public against the NDC, then the NDC regime, President Mohammed's regime, the first regime. People felt that he had failed to rein in these illegal miners, to stop illegal mining and so on and so forth. So the new government felt that, well, let me do things differently. So unfortunately for them, it also meant that giving priority to their own members, giving priority to their own party people to do the mining. So that was the first error the government committed at the time. The second one had to do with the nature of mining. We felt that because government had acquired the concession, because government was very interested in how mining was done and was very committed to ensuring that they did things differently, the miners will ensure that there was they did the mining in a very sanitized manner. But unfortunately, the mining that went on was not different from the Galamsey that was very evident in the 2016 period, which they criticized. So that was also another problem. And then the third problem was that this whole thing about community mining was very, very disorganized. Very, very disorganized. Disorganized in the sense that there were no structures as to who qualifies to be part of the community mining.
You basically just outlined the three issues that you had with the community mining. I don't know if we can move on from there, or is there something else you wanted to expatiate on before we move from there?
Okay, so I mentioned number one, the introduction of partisanship in the selection of the beneficiaries of the community mining concept.
Yep.
Even before the concept was started, you remember that the government had an MOU with the University of Mines and Technology to train some miners. I mean, the whole idea was to train these potential miners in health, safety, environment, and so on, so that they could do the mining in an environmentally sustainable manner. But the sad thing is that if you look at those who participated in this training, about 90% of them were party executives, people who had nothing to do with mining. So that was the first misstep that the government took at the time. The second one had to do with the fact that the whole community mining concept itself was not so markedly different from Galamsey. There were no structures. It looked like there were no specific requirements that anybody had to meet in order to be given a concession. So the government prepared the concession. The government did everything for them. And then once you are a party person and you are interested, usually it's the party secretary or an executive of the party who will then select who will participate in the community mining. So right from the onset, there was exclusion of some people. I mean, once you are identified as belonging to the position, then forget it. You will not be part of the mining. So this in itself created a situation of where you excluded section of the people, and that didn't augur well for sustainability of the entire concept. Finally, okay.
No, go ahead with the finally.
Finally, the what was the end game? What was the end game?
Years ago, Richard, many years ago, and even today, we're also looking at this, right? There was a group of people who were saying, hey, we are an organized team. We are small-scale miners. Give us the responsibility so we can help check this for you. Why did government not connect with this group? Are they not there still?
I think it's more of the politics. It's more of the politics. I mean, there are examples across Africa that we can look up to. There are examples across Latin America that we can look up to. Ethiopia has successfully integrated small-scale mining into its national mining programs. Peru has also successfully integrated small-scale mining. Why can't Ghana do the same? That is a problem, you know. So let me give you an example. All what the civil society groups have been saying is organize these groups, forget about the politics, forget about who voted for you and who didn't vote for you. Organize them, train them in how to handle some of the chemicals used in the mining sector. Once you organize them, you give them tax, you form them into cooperatives. The key word here is cooperatives, not just any group at all, but cooperatives, registered cooperatives that have structures that you can look up to. One. Number two, once you've registered them, link them up with the University of Mines and Technology. They train mining engineers every year. Every year. These mining engineers can go and have attachment. They can be attached to these cooperatives, support them in doing their mining properly, and so on. Number three, when it comes to the sale of gold, the sale of whatever comes out of their sweat, government should buy. Government should be the sole buyer of whatever comes out of the industry. So once government buys their gold, it means they are assured of their money. You know, instead of they going to look around for buyers and the buyers also exploiting them and so on, government can buy the gold from them straight ahead, and then it will become even an incentive for them to do proper mining, because government can then say that, look, I can only buy your gold if you are mining properly. That is what Ethiopia has done, and it is working for them.
I see.
So I don't see why Ghana cannot do the same.
I see. Let's zero in on the ban. What's your reaction to the ban? What's your what does it even mean for you?
It won't change anything. It won't change anything. To be honest with you, it won't change anything. The only difficulty we have is that if you are banning the community mining, then of course it should be replaced with something. It should be replaced with something else. So I am rather looking at an integrated kind of approach to the whole thing. You are banning community mining because it is not serving its purpose, but then you are replacing it with something that is more inclusive, something that is more environmentally sustainable, something that will be that can engage the youth in mining communities, and it will dissuade them from getting into illegal mining. That is what I'm looking at. But banning the community mining concept alone will not solve the problem of illegal mining in Ghana.
How so though? Because again, we also hear that licenses that were given wantonly, after December 7th have also been revoked. You don't think this is at least going to move the needle a little bit at all?
I do not know the motive behind that ban, to be honest with you. And why 7th December? I mean, what is so magical about 7th December?
I think, Salim, I think
magical
because,
about that date.
Yeah, I think it's because, I don't know, but I think it's because it was in the news that like a bunch of licenses were given after that date. Again, I don't know what your reaction would be to that.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, it's possible once the government felt it was losing the election, it would rush in granting many licenses to its cronies and so on. That is that. But then, I mean, legally speaking, if somebody goes through the process, if somebody succeeds in applying for a license, going through the process and getting the license, I do not see how 7th December will play any role in this. I would rather want the minister to audit all small-scale mining licenses that have been given for the past 8 years. We want an audit, not just banning or revoke. Oh, yes. I mean, because if you check the past 8 years, the MPP government granted more licenses than all governments from PNDC to NDC1 combined. They gave more licenses. So it will be proper to then do a comprehensive audit of all these licenses and then weed out those who are not living up to the terms of their license. So when the license is given.
So then this is where somebody will say it may be getting a bit political if you put it like that. I mean, if you say 8 years, because then somebody will say, okay, yeah, I do hear you saying the NPP government gave most licenses than any other government. But then don't you have to also look back a little bit and probe, let's say, the past 16, 20 years, maybe?
Well, it can be done. But the basis for looking at the 8 years is, I asked a very simple question. Why did the past government grant more licenses than any other government since 1989, when the small-scale mining law was passed? I think it makes sense from a research perspective.
It does.
To date it from the past 8 years. It has nothing to do with the politics.
It does, but then people, there'll be kickback, right? Because that's the story.
Exactly,
there's always another group of people who would, for whatever reason, kick against reasoning.
Yes.
So
And I believe that there is, if people look at it and then the audit is done and then the bad ones are, the licenses are revoked, but then the clean ones are allowed to move on, then the outcome of the process will justify the perception whether there's a partisanship or not. So it's about being fair. It's about being fair, about being transparent in the processes or procedures going to be used in doing the audit of all the licenses. I can tell you on authority that more than 50 or 60%, I'm being very conservative, more than 60% of the licenses that have been given for the past 8 years are either lying dormant, are not being used, or they have been sold to Chinese illegal miners. I'm telling you for a fact. So doing an audit will enable the government to have an idea of the state of small-scale mining in the country and what it can also do to support legal small-scale mining and to also introduce some reforms to weed out the illegal ones.
I see. Richard, one thing I've heard being said a lot is this idea of giving concessions that have been previously mined by bigger companies like AGA, and so on, to small-scale miners so that they can come in and do, some type of mining which, would not affect the environment too much. Is this still feasible? Do you think it's a good idea?